The alien fleet moved through space like a swarm of metal locusts, their dark hulls reflecting the distant light of the sun. Admiral Vexel stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display with the calm confidence of someone who had conquered 17 worlds before this one. "Status report," he commanded in his deep, gravelly voice. "The fleet maintains perfect formation, Admiral," replied his tactical officer. "All vessels report ready for combat. The human ship continues to hold position near their home world." That's all nodded with satisfaction. The pattern was always the same. The primitive species would make brave speeches about resistance, but when faced with overwhelming force, they would either surrender or die quickly. These humans appeared to be choosing the latter option. "What can you tell me about their vessel?" he asked. "It is larger than expected, Admiral, approximately 1,200 meters in length. Our sensors detect standard fusion reactors and basic energy weapons, nothing that poses a threat to our fleet." The Admiral studied the human warship through his personal viewing screen. The vessel was indeed impressive in size, but size meant nothing without proper weapons and defenses. His own fleet carried enough firepower to turn the surface of their planet into molten glass. "Maintain course and speed," he ordered. "We will reach engagement range in 16 hours. Meanwhile, aboard the Indomitable, Captain Li Hun walked through the ship's corridors, checking on his crew as they prepared for battle. The atmosphere was tense but determined. Every person on board understood the importance of what they were about to do. In the weapons bay, Chief Gunner O'Kuhn supervised the loading of the ship's missile tubes. The torpedoes were unlike anything the alien fleet had ever encountered, each one containing enough destructive power to cripple a battleship. "How many rounds do we have?" Hune asked.
600 quantum torpedoes, sir," O'Kuhn replied. "Anyone is armed with a zero-point energy warhead." Now the aliens have never seen
"Anything like them?" Hune nodded. The quantum torpedoes were one of humanity's most closely guarded secrets. The technology had been developed over decades of research into the fundamental nature of space and time. A single torpedo could collapse the molecular structure of any target it struck, and the particle beam arrays, Hune asked. "Fully charged and ready, sir," O'Kuhn said. "We have enough power to fire continuously for 3 hours before needing to recharge." The captain continued his tours, visiting the shield generators deep in the ship's core. Chief Engineer Lim Tae stood before a massive control panel, monitoring the quantum field generators that would protect the Indomitable from enemy fire. "Status of the defensive systems?" Hune asked. "All shields are operating at full capacity, sir," Tae replied. "The quantum barriers can absorb energy levels far beyond anything these aliens can produce. We also have the reflective armor plating. As backup protection," Hune studied the massive generators that hummed with barely contained energy. The shield technology was another human innovation based on the ability to bend space-time around the ship. Enemy weapons would be deflected or absorbed completely. "What about the main reactors?" he asked. "Running at minimum output to avoid detection," Tae said. "When you give the order, we can increase power to maximum levels within minutes." The aliens will not see it coming. The captain returned to the bridge, where his officers continued monitoring the approaching enemy fleet. The aliens maintained their steady advance, showing no signs of caution or concern. "Sir," said Sensor Officer Choi Mina, "we are detecting communication signals between the alien ships. They appear to be discussing battle formations." "What can you determine about their tactics?" Hune asked. Lieutenant Commander Kim Jun studied the enemy patterns on his display. "They favor overwhelming firepower, sir. They plan to surround us and concentrate their fire on specific sections of our hull. It is a standard tactic for fighting weaker opponents. And they believe we are," Weaker Hayan said with a slight smile. "Dr. Hanna, what is your assessment of their technology?" Dr. Beek Hanna looked up from her xenotechnology console. "Their weapons are powerful but crude, sir. They rely on brute force rather than precision. Their shields appear to be simple energy barriers, not the advanced quantum fields we developed. Their biggest weakness is their overconfidence," added First Officer Shin Woo. "They are approaching as if they expect no real resistance. This gives us a significant tactical advantage. Hugh nodded. The aliens had made their first mistake by underestimating humanity. Their second mistake was assuming that one ship could not threaten an entire fleet. They were about to learn how wrong they were on both counts. All stations, begin combat preparations, he ordered. But keep our energy signatures at normal levels. I want them to think we are still operating standard systems. Throughout the ship, crew members moved to their battle stations. The Indomitable had been designed specifically for this moment when humanity would face its first test against an alien enemy. Every system, every weapon, every defensive measure had been planned and tested countless times. In the medical bay, Dr. Kim Sora prepared for casualties. The ship's medical facilities were the most advanced in human space, capable of treating injuries that would have been fatal just decades earlier. But she hoped they would not be needed. "Bridge, this is medical," she reported. "All emergency. Systems are ready. We are prepared for combat operations." "Acknowledged, medical," came Hines' reply. The hours passed slowly as the two fleets drew closer together. The aliens maintained their confident advance, while the humans waited with growing tension. Every member of the Indomitable's crew understood that the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. "Sir," announced Parknari, "we are receiving another transmission from the alien fleet." "Put it through," Hune ordered. The same artificial voice filled the bridge speakers. "Human vessel, you have 6 hours to surrender. Your resistance is futile. We offer you one final chance to save your lives." Heian stood and faced the main screen. "Send this reply. Humanity does not surrender to invaders. If you want our world, you will have to take it by force." The transmission ended, and the bridge fell silent once again. The aliens had received their answer. Now there could be no turning back. Admiral Thazal read the human response with amusement. These creatures possessed admirable courage, but courage alone would not save them from the firepower of 200 warships. Their defiance would only make their destruction more satisfying. "Prepare all weapons," he commanded. "We will show these humans the price of resisting the Corvani Empire." The alien fleet entered the inner solar system like a storm cloud of death and destruction. Their ships moved in perfect formation, each vessel positioned to provide maximum firepower when the battle began. Admiral Vexal watched the approaching human warship with growing curiosity. "Range to target?" he asked his weapons officer. 50 million kilometers and closing, Admiral," came the reply. "We will reach optimal firing distance in 4 hours." Dexal studied the human vessel through his personal scanner. The ship was indeed massive, but its energy readings remained consistent with primitive fusion technology. The humans appeared to be running their reactors at normal operational levels, showing no signs of preparing for combat. "They show no fear," he observed. "Most species begin emergency power buildup when faced with our fleet. These humans simply wait. Perhaps they plan to surrender at the last moment," suggested his tactical officer. "Many species attempt this strategy to buy time for evacuation." The admiral shook his head. "No, there is something different about these humans. They have responded to our ultimatum with defiance, not desperation. Continue monitoring their ship for any changes." Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Li Hun stood before the main tactical display, studying the alien formation with the eye of a trained strategist. The enemy ships had spread into a wide attack formation, preparing to surround his vessel and concentrate their fire. "They are following standard fleet tactics," observed Tactical Officer Yang Su. "Each ship will fire in sequence to maintain continuous bombardment. They plan to overwhelm our defenses through sheer volume of fire." "And they believe our defenses are weak," Hyun replied. "Dr. Hanna, what can you tell me about their weapon systems?" Dr. Hanna studied the alien ships through the ship's most advanced sensors. "Their plasma cannons are powerful, sir, but they lack sophisticated targeting systems. They rely on overwhelming firepower rather than precision strikes. This suggests they have never faced an enemy with advanced defensive capabilities." "What about their shields?" asked First Officer Shinwu. "Basic energy barriers, sir? They can absorb considerable punishment, but they are vulnerable to focused attacks. Our quantum torpedoes should be able to penetrate their defenses easily." Hyun nodded. The aliens had superior numbers, but humanity had superior technology. The question was whether one advanced ship could defeat an entire fleet through technological advantage alone. "Chief Tay, status of our power systems?" he asked over the com. "All reactors standing by, sir," came the reply from engineering. "We are currently operating at 15% capacity. When you give the order, we can reach full power in 3 minutes." "And our weapons?" "Particle beam arrays are charged and ready. Quantum torpedo tubes are loaded. Point defense systems are online. We are ready for combat, sir." The captain turned to address his bridge crew. "In 3 hours, we will face the first interstellar battle in human history. The aliens believe they are fighting a primitive species with inferior technology. We will show them the error of their assumption." Deep in the ship's core, Chief Engineer Lim Tay monitored the massive fusion reactors that powered the Indomitable. The reactors were based on technology that had been developed over centuries of research. They could produce energy levels that would have seemed impossible to earlier generations of humans. "Engineering to bridge," he reported. "All systems are operating within normal parameters. The aliens are showing no signs of detecting our true capabilities." "Acknowledged, engineering," came Hyan's reply. "Maintain current power levels until further orders." The alien fleet continued its approach, confident in their overwhelming numerical superiority. Each ship in the formation was a veteran of previous conquests, crewed by warriors who had never known defeat. They expected this battle to follow the same pattern as all the others. Admiral reported the sensor officer aboard the Corvani flagship. "We are detecting slight fluctuations in the human ship's energy grid. Their reactors may be unstable." Vixal considered this information, where they are preparing to self-destruct rather than surrender. Some species choose death over slavery. Continue monitoring their systems. The hours passed slowly as the two forces drew closer together. The Indomitable maintained its position near Earth, while the alien fleet spread into their final attack formation. Every crew member on both sides understood that the moment of truth was approaching. "Sir," announced Communications Officer Park. "Nari, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." "Put it through," Hune ordered. The voice of Admiral Park J filled the bridge speakers. "Captain Hoon, the evacuation of major population centers is proceeding, but we need more time. You must hold them off as long as possible." "Understood," Admiral Han replied. "We will not let them reach Earth." The transmission ended, and the bridge fell silent. Every person on board understood the weight of responsibility that rested on their shoulders. The fate of human civilization depended on their success in the coming battle. "Sir," said Sensor Officer Choi Mina, "the alien fleet is beginning their final approach. They are targeting our ship with their fire control systems." "Range 2 targets?" Han asked. 20 million kilometers in closing. It will reach optimal firing range in 1 hour." The captain studied the tactical display one final time. The aliens had positioned themselves perfectly for a coordinated attack. Their plan was simple but effective. Surround the human ship and destroy it through concentrated fire. "All stations, prepare for combat," he ordered. "But maintain current power levels. Let them believe we are helpless until the last possible moment." Throughout the ship, crew members made final preparations for battle. Weapon systems were checked and rechecked. Damage control teams stood ready to respond to enemy fire. Medical facilities prepared for casualties. In the weapons bay, Chief Gunner O'Kyun supervised the final loading of the quantum torpedo tubes. Each torpedo contained enough destructive power to vaporize a city block, and the Indomitable carried 600 of them. "Bridge, this is weapons," he reported. "All systems are ready for combat operations. We are prepared to engage the enemy fleet." "Acknowledged. Weapons," came Hyan's reply. "Stand by for firing orders." The alien fleet reached firing range and began to spread into their final attack formation. 200 ships prepared to unleash their combined firepower against a single human vessel. Admiral Vexel smiled with satisfaction as he watched his tactical display. "All ships, prepare to fire on my command," he ordered. "Target their engines and weapon systems. We want to disable them quickly." The moment of truth had arrived. The first battle between humans and aliens was about to begin, and the outcome would determine the fate of both species. The first shots of the battle erupted across the darkness of space as the alien fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma beams lanced through the void, their brilliant energy lighting up the solar system like artificial stars. The combined firepower of 200 warships focused on a single target, the human vessel that dared to stand against them. Captain Lee Hyun watched the incoming fire with calm determination. The alien weapons streaked toward his ship in waves of destructive energy, each beam carrying enough power to level a mountain. But he had faith in his crew and their technology. "Brace for impact," he ordered. "All hands, prepare for enemy fire." The plasma beams struck the Indomitable's shields in a cascade of brilliant explosions. The massive warship shuddered under the assault, but her quantum barriers held firm. Energy that should have vaporized the hull was absorbed and redirected harmlessly into space. "Damage report," Hyun called out. "Shields holding at 94%, sir," reported Chief Engineer Lim Tae from his station. "Minor fluctuations in the secondary grid, but all systems remain operational." On the bridge, the crew watched in amazement as their ship weathered the storm of enemy fire. The alien weapons that had conquered 17 worlds were proving ineffective against human defensive technology, "Sir," said Dr. Buchanan, studying her sensor readings. "The alien fleet appears confused. They are scanning our ship repeatedly, trying to understand how we survived their attack." Admiral Dexall stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His sensors showed that the human ship had absorbed the combined firepower of his entire fleet without significant damage. The energy readings made no sense according to everything he knew about warfare. "Impossible," he muttered. "No single vessel should be able to withstand such an assault." "Admiral," his weapons officer interrupted. "The human ship is powering up additional systems. We're detecting massive energy buildups across their hull." The Sol watched in growing horror as the human vessel's power signature began to climb. The readings suggested energy levels that exceeded anything in his experience. What kind of technology did these humans possess? "All ships continue firing," he ordered desperately. "Concentrate all firepower on their shield generators." The alien fleet unleashed another barrage of plasma fire, but this time the human response was different. Instead of simply absorbing the attacks, the Indomitable began to glow with an inner light as her true power systems came online. "Engineering to bridge," came Tae's voice over the comm. "All reactors now at maximum output. We are ready for full combat operations." Captain Haeon stood and faced the main view screen. The alien fleet spread across space before him, their ships still firing desperately at his vessel. They had no idea what was about to happen. "All weapons prepare to engage," he ordered.
Ash!
"Show them what human technology can do." The Indomitables. Weapon systems came alive with deadly purpose. Particle beam arrays that had been hidden throughout the ship's hull began to charge with energy that bent the laws of physics. Quantum torpedo tubes loaded with warheads that could collapse local space-time prepared to fire. "Weapons ready, sir," reported Chief Gunner Okyun. All systems charged and locked onto targets. "Fire," Hyun commanded. The human warship's response was devastating. Particle beams carved through space at near light speed, each one carrying enough energy to crack a planet's surface. The beams struck the alien ships with surgical precision. Their advanced targeting systems, finding weak points in enemy shields and armor. The first wave of fire destroyed 23 alien vessels instantly. Their shields collapsed under the assault from weapons that operated on principles they had never encountered. The second wave claimed another 31 ships before the alien crews could even react. "Impossible," Admiral Vexall whispered as he watched his fleet die. "How do they possess such firepower?" His flagship rocked under a direct hit from a particle beam. Emergency lights flickered as systems overloaded throughout the ship. Around him, the proud armada that had conquered 17 worlds was being torn apart by a single human vessel. "Admiral, we are detecting launches from the human ship," his sensor operator reported with a shaking voice. "Missiles incoming." The quantum torpedoes streaked through space like harbingers of doom. Each warhead contained technology that the aliens could not comprehend. When they struck their targets, the results were catastrophic. The first torpedo hit a Corvini cruiser and simply erased it from existence. The quantum field collapsed the ship's molecular structure, reducing 800 meters of metal and crew to nothing.
The second torpedo struck a battleship and achieved the same result.
All ships withdraw immediately, Dexal ordered in panic. Retreat to minimum safe distance. But the human weapons followed his fleeing ships. Particle beams reached across millions of kilometers to strike vessels that thought they were safe. Quantum torpedoes adjusted their courses to pursue targets that tried to escape aboard the Indomitable. Captain Hayon watched the alien fleet's destruction with professional satisfaction. His crew worked with deadly efficiency, their years of training showing in every precisely aimed shot, reported Tactical Officer Young Su. 47 enemy vessels destroyed. The remainder are attempting to withdraw. Do not let them escape, Hyun ordered. Continue firing until they surrender or are destroyed. The battle had become a rout. The alien fleet that had approached with such confidence was now fleeing in terror from weapons they could not understand. Ship after ship fell to the Indomitable's devastating firepower. Bridge, this is weapons, came Okun's voice. Wait. We have expended 200 quantum torpedoes. Recommend switching to particle beam arrays for remaining targets. Acknowledged weapons, Hyun replied. Continue engagement with all available systems. The particle beams continued their deadly work. Reaching across space to destroy fleeing alien vessels, the advanced targeting systems locked onto each ship with perfect accuracy, finding weak points in their defenses and exploiting them ruthlessly. Admiral Dexal's flagship shuddered under repeated hits. His shields were failing, and his crew was reporting casualties throughout the ship. The human vessel continued its relentless assault, showing no mercy to the fleet that had come to conquer their world. Sir, his communications officer called out, we are receiving surrender requests from 17 of our ships. They are requesting permission to withdraw. Dexal looked at his tactical display where the markers of his fleet disappeared one by one. In all his years of conquest, he had never imagined such devastation was possible. These humans had turned warfare into an art form. Signal all ships, he ordered with defeat heavy in his voice. Prepare to surrender. We cannot win this battle. The message went out across the alien fleet, and the surviving ships began to power down their weapons. The battle was over, and humanity had won its first victory against an alien enemy. But Captain Hyun was not finished. He had a message to send to the galaxy about what happened to those who threatened Earth. The silence after the weapons stopped firing was deafening. Across the battlefield, debris from 173 alien ships drifted through space like a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams. Only 27 vessels remained intact. Their crews stunned into disbelief by the devastating defeat they had witnessed. Captain Lee Hoon stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, surveying the aftermath of humanity's first interstellar battle. The alien fleet that had arrived with such confidence lay in ruins, testament to human ingenuity and determination. Damage report, he requested calmly. Shields at 87%, sir, reported Chief Engineer Lim Tae. Minor stress fractures in the secondary hull plating, but all major systems remain fully operational. We can continue fighting if necessary. Casualties, Yoon asked. None, sir, replied Dr. Kim Sora from the medical bay. The crew is shaken but unharmed. Our defensive systems protected us completely. The captain nodded with satisfaction. Battle had been won with minimal damage to his own ship, while the alien fleet had been virtually destroyed. The technological superiority that humanity had developed over 3 centuries had proven itself in the most decisive way possible. Sir, announced Communications Officer Park Nari, we are receiving transmission requests from multiple alien vessels. They appear to be surrender offers. Put the fleet commander through, Hyun ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the face of Admiral Dexal. The alien leader's reptilian features showed clear signs of defeat and confusion. His once-proud uniform was torn and stained, and his eyes held the hollow look of someone whose entire worldview had been shattered. Human Commander, Dexal began, his voice heavy with exhaustion. I am Admiral Dexal, of the Corvani Empire. I have conquered 17 worlds in my lifetime, but never have I encountered such devastating firepower. What are you? Yoon studied. The alien's expression was something approaching understanding. This creature had spent his entire career believing in the superiority of his own species and technology. The battle had shown him how wrong he had been. We are what happens when a species refuses to yield to tyranny, Yoon replied. We are the result of centuries of preparation, innovation, and the absolute determination to protect our home. Your technology, Thex. I'll press desperately. Your weapons exceed anything in our databases. How did you develop such power in isolation? We were not isolated, Heon said simply. We were preparing. For 300 years, humanity has known that contact with alien life was inevitable. We spent that time developing the means to defend ourselves against any threat. The truth was more complex than Hyen's explanation suggested. Humanity had indeed spent centuries preparing for this moment. But the development of their advanced technology had required sacrifices that few species would be willing to make. Entire generations had dedicated their lives to research and development. Pushing the boundaries of physics itself, your plasma weapons are impressive, Hyen continued, but they are based on principles we mastered 2 centuries ago. Your shields are adequate for fighting enemies with similar technology, but they cannot withstand weapons that operate on quantum principles. Admiral Vexol listened with growing horror as the human commander explained the vast technological gap between their civilizations. The Corvani had believed themselves to be the most advanced species in the galaxy, but these humans had surpassed them in every area of military science. What do you want from us? Vexol asked. I want you to return to your people, Hyen replied. I want you to tell them what you witnessed here today. Tell them that humanity will not yield to conquerors, and that any species that comes to our world with hostile intent will face the same fate as your fleet. The alien admiral bowed his head in acknowledgement. As remaining ships began to turn away from Earth, their crews eager to escape from the nightmare they had experienced. Wait, Hyen called out. There's one more thing you need to understand. Vexol looked up expectantly. The Indomitable is not our only ship, Hyen said. We have an entire fleet of vessels with similar capabilities. This battle was won by a single ship operating alone. If you return with a larger force, you will face the full might of the human navy.
Ow.
This was not entirely true. The Indomitable was indeed the most advanced ship in the human fleet, and no other vessel possessed quite the same level of technology. But the aliens did not need to know that. The threat of additional ships with similar capabilities would be enough to deter future attacks. Furthermore, Hyen continued, we have defensive installations throughout our solar system. Orbital weapons platforms, automated defense networks, and planetary shield generators. Any invasion force that attempts to reach Earth will face resistance at every step. Admiral Vexol absorbed this information with growing despair. Not only had his fleet been defeated by a single ship, but the humans possessed additional defensive capabilities that made conquest impossible. I understand, he said quietly. We will not return. See that you do not, Hyen replied. And remember this day when you speak to other species about humanity. We are not the primitive creatures you expected to find. We are a species that has turned warfare into a science, and we will not hesitate to use that science against any threat. The transmission ended, and the surviving alien ships began their retreat toward the edge of the solar system. Their one-sprout formation was now a scattered group of damaged vessels, fleeing in terror from an enemy they could not comprehend. Sir, said First Officer Shin Woo, shall we pursue them? No, Hyen replied. Let them go. They will carry our message to the galaxy. Other species will learn what happens to those who threaten Earth. On the bridge, the crew watched as the alien fleet disappeared into the distance. The battle was over, but the implications would last for generations, humanity had announced. Its presence to the galaxy in terms that could not be misunderstood. Bridge, this is Earth Command, came Admiral Park Jae's voice over the comm system. Congratulations on your victory, Captain. The planet is in your debt. Thank you, Admiral Hyen replied. But this is just the beginning. Other species will learn of what happened here today. Some will want to trade with us. Others will want to study our technology, and still others will want to test our defenses. Are you ready for that? Park Jae asked. Hyen looked at his crew. These brave men and women who had just fought the first battle for humanity's future, they had proven themselves capable of facing any challenge the galaxy could present. "We are ready," he said with confidence. "Humanity is ready." The Indomitable began its journey back to Earth, carrying the crew that had won the first victory. In humanity's expansion into the stars, behind them, the debris of the alien fleet served as a warning. To any species that might consider threatening the third planet from the sun, the age of human isolation was over. The age of human dominance had begun. 3 months after the battle, the effects of humanity's victory rippled across the galaxy like waves in a cosmic ocean. The story of the Corvani fleet's destruction had spread from system to system, carried by traders, diplomats, and refugees. Who had witnessed the aftermath of the conflict? Captain Lee Hyun stood in his ready room aboard the Indomitable, reviewing intelligence reports from across known space. The ship had been recalled to Earth for repairs and upgrades, but the work was nearly complete. Soon they would return to patrol duty, defending humanity's expanding territory. "Sir?" announced Communications Officer Park Nari over the intercom. "We are receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Park J requests your immediate presence." "On my way," Hyun replied. The holographic display in the briefing room showed a 3-dimensional map of the local galactic sector. Red markers indicated hostile species, yellow showed neutral civilizations, and green represented potential allies. The map had changed dramatically since the battle. Captain Admiral Park J began. "The intelligence reports from our deep space monitoring stations paint an interesting picture. The Corvani Empire is in complete chaos. Admiral Vexel's report of your victory has caused panic throughout their territory." Hyun studied the tactical display. "What kind of panic?" 3 of their colony worlds have declared independence," Park J explained. "The Corvani military is pulling back from frontier sectors to defend their core systems. They believe humanity is preparing to invade their territory." "Are we?" Hyun asked. "Not yet," the Admiral replied. "But we are expanding our defensive perimeter. Construction has begun on 12 new orbital defense platforms. The shipyards are working around the clock to build additional vessels." The captain nodded. The victory against the Corvani had bought humanity time to strengthen its defenses, but it had also made them a target for other ambitious species. "What about the other major powers?" Hyun asked. "The Xantari Confederation has sent diplomatic overtures," Park J said. "They want to establish trade relations and learn more about our technology. The Valkyrian Republic is being more cautious, but they have not shown any hostile intent. And the smaller species? Many are requesting protection from the Corvani," the Admiral replied. "Word of our victory has spread hope among civilizations that had given up resistance. They see humanity as potential liberators." Han considered this information carefully. The battle had been won, but the war for Galactic peace was just beginning. Humanity now had the power to shape the future of known space, but with that power came enormous responsibility. "Sir?" Park Nari's voice interrupted his thoughts. "We have an incoming transmission from the Corvani home system. It appears to be from Admiral Vexel." "Put it through," Hyun ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the familiar reptilian features of the alien commander. But Dexel looked different now, older and more tired than before. The defeat had clearly taken its toll. "On him, Captain Hyun," Vexel began, "I bring a message from the Corvani High Command. We wish to negotiate a formal peace treaty with your species." "I am listening," Hyun replied. "We offer recognition of human sovereignty over your entire solar system," Vexel continued. "In exchange, we ask for assurance that you will not attack our core worlds. We also request the opportunity to study your defensive technologies for our own protection." Hyun exchanged glances with Admiral Park J. The Corvani were offering to surrender territory they had never controlled in exchange for technology they could not stand. "What guarantee do we have that you will honor such a treaty?" Hyun asked. "You have already demonstrated that you can destroy our fleets," Vexel replied. "We cannot fight an enemy we cannot defeat. Peace is our only option." "What of the worlds you have conquered?" Hyun pressed. "What of the species you have enslaved?" The alien admiral's expression grew uncomfortable. That is an internal matter for the Corvani Empire to resolve. Nohayan said firmly. If you want peace with humanity, you must grant independence to all species currently under your rule. We will not negotiate with slavers. Thek's eyes widened in shock. You ask us to abandon half our territory? I ask you to do what is right, Hyun replied. Humanity believes in the freedom of all sentient species. We will not make peace with an empire built on conquest and oppression. The transmission ended abruptly as the exile cut the connection. Admiral Park Jae smiled approvingly at the captain's response. Well done, he said. You have just changed the balance of power in this sector of the galaxy. What do you mean? Hyun asked. The Corvani will have to choose between war with humanity and the collapse of their empire, Park Jae explained. If they choose war, we will defeat them as we did before. If they choose peace, dozens of species will be freed from their rule. If they choose neither, Hyun asked. Then their empire will collapse anyway, the admiral replied. The species they control now know that resistance is possible. They will fight for their freedom with or without our help. Over the following weeks, the Corvani Empire began to fracture. One by one, their subject worlds declared independence. Inspired by the example of human resistance, the Corvani military, weakened by the loss of their invasion fleet, could not maintain control over their vast territory. The Zentari's confederation moved quickly to establish trade relationships with the newly independent worlds. The Valkyron Republic offered military assistance to species seeking protection from Corvani retaliation. Even smaller civilizations began to form defensive alliances. No longer willing to accept domination by larger powers, Captain Hyun received regular updates on these developments as the Indomitable completed its refit. New weapon systems had been installed and the ship's defensive capabilities had been enhanced even further. But more importantly, the crew had gained confidence from their victory. Sir, reported First Officer Shin Woo during the morning briefing, we have received formal requests for protection from 6 different species. They are offering trade agreements and technology sharing in exchange for defense against Corvani retaliation. What is Earth Command's position? Hyun asked. We are to evaluate each request individually, Shinwoo replied. Priority goes to species that can contribute to our defensive capabilities or provide strategic advantages.
Actor Beak Hannah looked
up from her xenotechnology reports. Sir, some of these species possess technologies that could be valuable to humanity. The Alkari have advanced sensor systems, and the Thalassans have developed superior life support technology. And the risks? Hayan asked. Minimal, Hannah replied. None of these species have military capabilities that pose a threat to us. They are seeking protection, not conquest. The captain considered this information carefully. Humanity had won its first battle against alien aggression, but the galaxy was vast and full of potential threats. Building alliances with peaceful species could provide valuable intelligence and resources for future conflicts. Recommend acceptance of the Alkari and Thalassan requests, he decided. Their technologies could enhance our defensive capabilities. The other requests require more detailed evaluation. As the months passed, humanity's influence in the galaxy continued to grow. The Indomitable and her sister ships patrolled the expanding network of allied systems, their mere presence enough to deter most aggressive species. Trade flowed freely between human space and the independent worlds, bringing prosperity to civilizations that had known only oppression under Corvani rule. Admiral Vexal made one final attempt to negotiate with humanity, offering to personally surrender his remaining fleet in exchange for safe passage to neutral space. Captain Hyun accepted the surrender, but insisted that the Sol stand trial for war crimes committed during his years of conquest. I understand, the alien admiral said during their final communication. I have seen what your species is capable of. You do not simply defeat your enemies, you transform them. Perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. The trial became a symbol of humanity's commitment to justice. Species from across the galaxy sent representatives to witness the proceedings. And the verdict sent a clear message. The age of conquest through superior firepower was ending. 1 year after the battle, Captain Hyun stood on the observation deck of Luna Station. watching as the newest human warships took shape in the orbital shipyards. Each vessel incorporated lessons learned from the conflict with the Corvini, making them even more formidable than the Indomitable. "The galaxy has changed," observed Admiral Park J, joining him at the viewport. "Humanity has become the dominant military power in this sector. With great power comes great responsibility," Hune replied. "We must use our strength to protect the innocent and promote peace." "And if other species challenge us?" the Admiral asked. "Then we will show them the same lesson we taught the Corvini," Hune said firmly. "Aggression against peaceful civilizations will not be tolerated." The Indomitable departed Luna Station 4. Another patrol mission, her crew confident in their ability to face any threat. Behind them, Earth continued its transformation from an isolated world to the heart of a growing alliance of free species. The aliens had seen humanity's warship, and their invasion had died before it began. But more importantly, their defeat had given birth to a new age of cooperation and justice among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity had ensured that change would be for the better, as the Indomitable jumped to hyperspace, beginning another mission to protect the growing alliance of free worlds. Captain Lee Haeon knew that this was only the beginning. The stars awaited, full of challenges and opportunities, and humanity was ready to meet them all. The age of human expansion had begun, not through conquest, but through the defense of freedom itself. And in the vast darkness of space, that light would continue to shine for generations to come. The deep space sensors screamed their warnings across the command deck of the UES Indomitable. Captain Lee Hoon stood motionless before the main display screen, his dark eyes fixed on the red dots that had appeared at the edge of the solar system. 200 alien ships had dropped out of hyperspace near Pluto, their massive forms casting shadows against the distant stars. "Sir, we have confirmation," said Communications Officer Park Nari, her voice tight with controlled fear. "The alien fleet has taken position at the system boundary. They are maintaining formation and have made no aggressive moves yet." Hyun nodded slowly. This was the moment humanity had prepared for during 3 centuries of rapid technological advancement. The moment when Earth would no longer be alone in the universe. The moment when they would discover if their preparations had been enough. "Distance to the fleet?" Han asked. "Approximately 6 billion kilometers from Earth, sir," replied Sensor Officer Choi Mina from her station. They appeared exactly where our deep space warning network predicted they would. The automated defense platforms are tracking them, but they remain out of weapons range. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency around him. These men and women had trained for years for this exact situation. Every drill, every simulation, every late-night study session had led to this moment, at seeing an actual alien invasion. Fleet was different from any training exercise. Lieutenant Commander Kim Jun approached the captain's command chair. "Sir, the alien vessels are huge. Our scans show each ship is roughly 800 meters in length. They have energy signatures unlike anything in our databases." Hyun studied the tactical display more carefully. The alien formation was perfect, with each ship positioned to provide maximum firepower coverage. Their technology appeared advanced, but not impossibly so. The energy readings suggested fusion reactors, similar to human designs, though with different efficiency ratings. "About their weapons?" Hyun asked. "Plasma-based energy systems, sir," reported Tactical Officer Yang Su. "Multiple gun batteries on each vessel. Conservative estimates suggest each ship could level a city with a single bombardment." The captain absorbed this information without visible reaction. The Indomitable was humanity's newest and most powerful warship, but it was still just one vessel against an entire fleet. The other ships of Earth's defense force were scattered across the solar system, patrolling the outer colonies and asteroid mining facilities. "Sir, incoming transmission from the alien fleet," Park Nari announced. "They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies. The message is repeating." "Put it through the universal translator," Hyun ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life with an artificial voice that spoke in perfect English. "People of the third planet, you have been selected for incorporation into the Corvain Empire. Your world possesses resources that our civilization requires. Surrender immediately, and your species will be relocated to suitable worlds within our territory. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization. You have 12 of your hours to comply. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in absolute silence. Every crew member understood the implications. The aliens had not come to trade or establish diplomatic relations. They had come to take Earth by force. "Sir," said First Officer Shinwoo, breaking the silence, "Earth's command is requesting our assessment and recommendations." Hyun looked at the faces around him. These people had families on Earth, friends in the colonies, entire lives built around the assumption that humanity would remain safe in their small corner of the galaxy. Now that assumption lay shattered. "Send this message to Earth Command," Hayan said. "The Indomitable will engage the alien fleet and buy time for planetary evacuation procedures. We will not surrender our world without a fight." Park Neri's fingers moved across her console. "Message sent, sir. Earth Command acknowledges and wishes us luck." The captain turned to address his crew. "All hands, this is Captain Lee Hayan. We are about to face the greatest challenge in human history. The alien fleet that threatens our world believes we are weak and primitive. They think one ship cannot stand against their entire armada. They are about to learn how wrong they are." Deep in the ship's engineering sections, Chief Engineer Lim Tae monitored the massive reactor systems that powered the Indomitable. The fusion cores hummed with barely contained energy, their output carefully regulated to maintain normal operational levels. But Tae knew these reactors were capable of far more than their current output suggested. "Bridge, this is engineering," Tae reported over the comm system. "All systems are running at normal parameters. We are ready for combat operations when you give the order." Acknowledged. Engineering, came Hyan's reply. "Stand by for full power authorization." On the bridge, Dr. Buchanan studied the alien fleet through the ship's most powerful sensors. As the Indomitable's xenotechnology specialist, she had spent years preparing for this moment. Her analysis of the alien formations revealed tactical patterns that suggested these invaders had conquered other worlds before. "Captain," she said, "their formation indicates this is not their first invasion. They are moving with the confidence of a military force that has never faced serious resistance. This could be an advantage for us." Gosh, considered her words. An overconfident enemy was a vulnerable enemy. "What else can you tell me about their technology?" "Their ships appear to be using standard fusion drives for propulsion," Hannah replied. "Energy shielding is present, but not particularly sophisticated. Their weapons are powerful, but lack the advanced targeting systems we developed for deep space combat." The captain nodded. Every piece of information was valuable. The human race had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment, developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of known physics. The Indomitable represented the pinnacle of that effort. A warship designed not just to fight, but to win against impossible odds. "Sir," interrupted Choi Mina, "the alien fleet is beginning to move. They've broken formation and are advancing toward Earth. Estimated arrival time at our position is 18 hours. Hayan stood and walked to the main view screen. In the distance, barely visible against the starfield, the alien fleet had begun its journey toward Earth. 200 ships carrying the firepower to destroy human civilization were heading straight for them. "All stations prepare for combat," he ordered. "We will show these invaders what happens when they threaten humanity." The crew of the Indomitable moved to their battle stations with practiced efficiency. In 18 hours, they would face the tests of their lives. The fate of Earth and everyone on it would depend on their courage, their skill, their revolutionary technology hidden within their ship's hull. The first interstellar war in human history was about to begin.